And allow me at this point to recognize the Mayor of Freetown. Thank you, Madam Mayor, for the warm welcome. It is my first time in Freetown, and I think I have enjoyed the hospitality here in Freetown. And let me also recognize my darling sister, Aya Chebi, the founder of Nalafem, and also our chairperson of the board for Nala, and all of you ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much. I'll be driving this session, which is the Resist and Rise, Feminist Strategies in Hostile Political and Digital Spaces. So before we start the conversation, I want to ask a simple question. How many of us are on social media platforms? How many of us are using social media? Let's show by raising our hands, like really high. Keep raising your hand. This is your right hand. Those who are raising their right hands as a show of using social media platforms, I want to ask another question. How many of us have faced online bullying on social media? Wow. So literally, every person who is using social media has somehow faced some online bullying. And this is the conversation that I will be having with you today. So as digital platforms become critical tools for campaigning and visibility, online violence has emerged as a new frontline, from coordinated smear campaigns to gendered disinformation and cyber harassment. Women leaders across Africa are being targeted simply for stepping into public life. So this session will explore how feminist leaders are resisting online attacks and hostile political landscapes while pushing for bold governance reforms. So for this panel, I'll be joined by an incredible, incredible panelist, and I would want to first invite Camila Banda, who is my sister from the Club de Madrid. Camila Banda is a dynamic powerhouse, currently serving as the National Youth Chairperson for the Party of National Unity and Progress in Zambia. Ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome Camila Banda. Secondly, we are moving to East Africa. So this panel, we're going to have insights from all the parts of Africa. So we have Zambia representing Southern Africa. I'm moving to East Africa. My dear mama, Winnie Kiza. Winnie Kiza is a seasoned Ugandan politician who began her career in local government and in the 1990s and rose to national prominence after winning the Kasese district parliamentary seat in 2006. As the founder of the Reform Agenda in Zwenzori sub-region, she became a strong mobilizer and organizer, winning the only female opposition seat in Western Uganda for 3 consecutive terms. Help me welcome Madam Winnie Kiza. Last but not least, we are here in Sierra Leone, and I would want to invite Marcela Saba Sesai. She is a distinguished civic society leader and a governance expert with more than 20 years of experience in post-conflict restructuring. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Marcela Samba on stage. Thank you. So, we have read your biographies, the immense experience that you have in the political spaces. You have been involved in the front line of politics, but also at the same time you have faced online bullying because of your frontline activities in politics. And I want to start with you, Mama Winnie. You have served in Uganda's most politically volatile space, being in the opposition in Uganda. Oh my God, this is huge, and I really, really respect you. I've been following your journey. How have smear campaigns or gendered propaganda been against you, and how did you push that noise, and you are still leading in Uganda?
Yes, the political space political space is volatile in Uganda, but I started my journey from a point of resistance. From a point of resistance in a sense that when I was born and raised from a little village in the Rwenzori sub-region closer to the Democratic Republic of Congo, my tribe believed in widow inheritance. And so at the age of 10, my father passes on. When he passed on, my mother refused to be inherited. And I will say, I think amongst the Bakonzo people, she was the first woman to resist the notion of widow inheritance. Later, she was to tell us that she knew my father's brothers, who were basically peasants, and had married off their daughters at an early age because amongst the Bakonzo again, child marriages were okay. And for her, she wanted her daughters to study. So she said, if I allow my children, if I allow to be inherited, my brothers-in-law will just allow my daughters to be married off at an early age. But that, she had to pay a cost. The relatives of my father abandoned her with 7 children. She had to take us through school single-handedly, maybe with the support of a few friends of her late father. And I saw the injustice. I told myself, I'll be part of that great movement that must put an end to injustice.
Wow.
And so I made a resolve at an early age to fight for the rights of the marginalized. When an opportunity came, and in our country we now were decentralizing, believed in a decentralized system, and I was moving from college, I decided to go and run as a woman councillor at the district level. Running as a district councillor, not married, no leadership background. I was 26 then. Yes, everybody was on me. How can a young girl, not married, with little experience in taking care of children, appear to be the one representing women? I came in as a women's representative, not as a youth councillor. And the issue then, because by that time, 1998, there was no social media, but the issue that was coming up was that she's a prostitute, she's going to spoil her children, she's young, she doesn't have any iota of knowledge about issues that affect women. But I was coming from a home which had a mother, which had sisters, some of whom were married women, and I saw what was happening around them. But I had to prove that even without children, and at that age, I was mature enough to understand the burden that women had. I had to prove that I was mature enough to see the pain that women were going through. And I had to use culture to tell them that in our tradition, it's not for me as a woman to approach a man for love.
Thank you.
And so I carried on that, the resistance that I grew up with, and it's the same that happened when actually I took up the office of the leader of the opposition at a time when we had chaos in my country. Our leader then had been put under house arrest and had not been allowed to even challenge the outcome of election. When I was appointed leader of the opposition, the issue was, at such a time of crisis, how can a woman be elected leader of the opposition? A woman cannot manage. A woman cannot push us anywhere. But I want to say that working with other teams, our office became the best, to the extent that even right now, it is still being referred to an office that was held by a woman. And I was the first woman, anyway, to be appointed as leader of opposition since independence in my country. I don't take it for granted. It cost me a lot, but I had to resist the backlash that goes with it. I knew that it was an office for women, and I had to put a women's mark onto it.
Wow.
That
Thank you,
slightly
Mama Winnie.
explains the journey of resistance and rising from a volatile, hostile political environment in my country to where we are today.
Wow.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Let's pull a little thread on that. You were leading in the 1990s. She was only 26 years old. And as she explained that there wasn't social media, maybe it wasn't as ripe as right now. And now, in 2025, the same challenges you were facing, we are still facing them today. And I want to move on to Camilla. You are a young leader in this generation, in 2025. And you represent a new generation of women stepping into political power. What forms of resistance and challenges have you faced, especially online? And we want to pick the conversation from Mama Winnie's conversation to say in 1990, she was facing the same challenges, but probably it was offline. But now, you know, the impact is even worse because of the online challenges. So I want you to pick a conversation from the new generation and what you have also faced, sharing your own experiences.
Testing.
Yes.
Okay. It wasn't on. Good morning, everybody. It's such a huge honor to be here. It's such a huge honor to be, sharing. And thank you so much, Aya, for your bold vision. And I would say that what it's like in terms of online bullying and threats and that sort of thing, it's actually been quite challenging because I think even Mayor Yvonne said, when women are seen leading, we need to understand that patriarchy is also, in the way that it exists, it is also supported by women. The only reason it's been an institution that has survived as long as it has is because, women hate women and men hate women. And I'm not referring to all of them, but I'm saying those who continue with the patriarchal system are part of the issue. And facing, let me just say that a lot of the violence against, women in politics or election that I've experienced has actually been more in person than offline. However, online, I would say that I didn't notice until maybe this morning that there's a reason why I have not been so active. There's a reason that I have not put myself out there on social media. It's because it takes absolutely nothing to go viral for the wrong reason. And it's very hard for you to want to be there for people and for you to want to be transparent and for you to want to share your vision and share your boldness and say, this is my aspiration for you, without the question of who do you think you are coming up. And the thing is that it hasn't had to be done to me, but it's had to be done to other women who have been bold enough to share their vision and to share their message on social media, online, and in different places, and see them get turned down, and see them get turned into laughing stocks, see them get turned into memes, and see them get turned into a joke, all for simply wanting to serve. And as a politician, it's made me come and ask myself the question over and over again, am I willing to pay the price for the decision that I have made? Because as Madam Winnie has said, and as you have experienced, this thing comes at a cost. Political leadership comes at great personal cost. It comes at the cost, for me, it's cost me relationships, friendships. You wonder, am I ever going to get married? It's simply because you are sometimes, and I'll give you the thing, you're sometimes with a man, and he's seen that the stand that you're taking for your country or the stand that you're willing to take for your continent will come at a cost to the type of mother he's envisioned for his children. It will come at a cost to the sort of wife he's envisioned for himself. He's seen that your commitment and his desires are incompatible. It's come at a cost of friendships because, in rooms like this in Nalafem, it's so easy to be reminded, like, this is the reason that I'm doing what I'm doing. I get to meet, Auntie Mamba, as I say, I get to meet Auntie Winnie, I get to be here, I get to meet the Ayahs of this world, and I'm just like, oh my goodness, this is so worth it. But then we cry so many private tears at home, and I'm trying not to break down as I speak, because a lot of times the people that you're taking the stand for are the ones that are doing everything that they possibly can to silence your voice, to make you look insignificant. And I remember I was once in Nairobi, and I think the chief of staff, chief of staff, she had mentioned something that at that point I hadn't yet experienced. And she had said the biggest opposition that you're going to get as a political leader and as a young person, and worse off when you're female, is that the opposition that you face, the biggest opposition that you face, is not going to come from other political parties. It is going to come from people within your party. And this is something that I have experienced at a great level, simply because I am one person who, if these people actually support me, the people within my political party, they haven't shown it to me. I'm yet to see it. Right?
Wow.
I'm obviously there, and I've obviously won an election. However, it's come at a price of me also having to grow, and grow greatly in terms of my mental and emotional resilience, to say that I am still willing to serve people who are willing to do anything to oppose me, who are willing to embarrass me, who are willing to shame me, who are willing to talk bad about me to people who don't know me, who are willing to close doors that I didn't even know were about to open for me. Doors where, you find out in the background that, oh, such and such came, however, such and such conversation happened, and that's how come you're not a part of the delegation, you're not a part of this process. And unfortunately, it's come even, yes, the men will oppose you. Men will oppose you.
Let's speak about the cost.
But women. Speak about the cost.
Let's speak about the cost that you've talked about, which is quite sad. That as women, this comes at a great cost. We are losing relationships. We are losing friendships. We are losing, a lot of things, even financial loss.
Absolutely.
Yes, because imagine even not going to work because you're spending 2 weeks depressed, you're facing anxiety and so forth. So there's a big cost in terms of this bullying. But I want us to then dig deeper into the statistics, because I remember IPU released a report that globally, there are the total number of MPs in the world, only 27% are women. And for the 27% who are women, half of them, they've faced bullying online. And I think this should, get us angry as women, to say only 27% are in parliament. But of that percentage, half of it, we are facing online harassment, we are facing cyberbullying and online attacks. So I want to bring this conversation to our expert here, Marcela, to say you're an election monitor and a governance advocate. What patterns of gendered political violence and disinformation campaigns for women candidates have you seen in African elections? Because you're not just digging deeper from Sierra Leone, but you've monitored elections across Africa, and there's a pattern there. So we have seen online bullying, and what do you see as the best practice for countering these attacks? We've heard from Camila, we've heard from Mama Winnie. The pattern still continues. So as an expert, what is the solution?
Thank you, Honorable Joanna. It's so interesting that as an elections observer and monitor, you're asking me what patterns I have seen. But I want to start from the foundation.
Yeah.
I am a survivor of gender disinformation myself. So it's not only what I've seen, it's what I've experienced. Right? I've been targeted, I've been ganged up against for my very colleagues who are in the civil society space. I have been body shamed. Imagine such a beauty created by God. Who exudes intelligence unmatched. You want to body shame me in public. I've been a survivor of public shaming. So it's not about what I've seen, it's what I've experienced.
Wow.
But you'll be wondering, but why is it that she is a civil society activist, not like Mama Winnie is a politician. She's a politician, and she's in the front line. It's a targeted violence against strong women. So in reality,
Wow.
and when I speak that truth, it becomes painful for them. And they tend to get back at me. I know it is painful, but the confidence I have is that that truth is liberating. So if you do not accept it today, down the line, you come face to face with the reality, and it will prick your mind and say, oh, this is exactly what Marcella is saying. And for that reason, I will continue to speak the truth undiluted and unblemished. So that is why I am under attack. For clean elections, I am under attack for pushing women to take the rightful position in society. I am under attack because I support what is right, irrespective of political party, irrespective of orientation, irrespective of creed. I support what is good for Sierra Leone and for our continent.
Wow.
So that is me. You see, I started off to say there is a pattern, and the pattern is against strong women. You know, when the society today, and I must give credit to that, in our society, we have a legal framework where 30% of political representation is reserved for women. We need to celebrate that.
Yeah.
It's huge. And it took a lot of investments to get to where we are today. But unfortunately, even with a 30% quota representation, the trauma with which women, political leaders, get to political office is huge.
Thank you very much, Marcella. And, you know, when you spoke passionately about your experiences, I think it's even infuriating more to say we were talking about women in politics, like being on the front line of political spaces, yet also women in civic society. They're still experiencing, you know, cyberbullying, online harassment, and so forth. But I want us to also touch on possible mechanisms. How can we try as women? Yes, we've faced this, but what, because of your experience and your expertise, what can we do as women to deal with these challenges? What can we do?
So I like to share my personal experience and how, you see, those who are in this room and those who follow me on social media, I tell you, when you wake up in the morning and social media is awash with your photos, narratives that have been tainted and manipulated to present you in a fashion, and people are calling you to say, have you seen what they have written about you? And I have my social media handlers, and they are saying, we are just waiting for you to wake up so that we can put together a response, and then I will boldly sit. You know, in my society, I'm called the boss lady. So I will boldly sit up and say, put down all the phones, down all the social media handles. Today we are going to fight them with our results.
Wow.
And when we appear, the next bang would silence every post. So in reality, it's tough, but we silence them with hard work. What we do resound across the nation. And again, when you go to social media and you begin to read about the things we do, all their attack gradually goes under. So I want to say to every woman, whether you are a politician, as long as you are in the front line, I love what Aya said this morning. Patriarchy creates itself. When we were fighting for the minimum 30% quota representation, I was a lead campaigner. And we were thinking that, yes, it is over. No, we found out that, it has started all over again. How do we address gendered targeted violence, and systematic gender disinformation? How do we address issues of narratives and events that are manipulative to the extent of undermining the hard work that we are doing as women?
Wow.
So we really need to reorganize, recalibrate, and rethink. We really need to repackage. My second point, after fighting with results, I fight with fashion. I fight with fashion, right? When I enter the room, you know that somebody has come.
We can see that. We can see that.
So, you invite me and give me immediately a seat at the table. I refuse to take your seats because I normally walk with my own chair.
Wow.
Because when I get to the table, I dictate my own terms. So I want women to be confident enough. If you think this is easy, it is not. It is moments of strategizing, calculated effort to target. It's about resistance. And let me tell you, more importantly, this is exactly what I am writing my PhD thesis on. I am collecting data on how women in the front line are resisting gender violence.
Right.
Because it is not enough to be crying. I cry too. Sometimes I go into my closet and I cry. But believe you me, after crying, I come out as bold and fierce as ever.
Wow. Please, louder, louder. A round of applause. So this is exactly what we are talking about. Resist and rise. That's the conversation. And thank you, Marcella, for bringing this dimension. And I remember last week we were having another conversation about this somewhere in the world. And we were told that silence is not the best strategy. And I'm loving where you are coming from. To actually say, at this moment where you're told as women, oh, just be silent. I don't think at this point silence is the best strategy. We need to expose, we need to speak out. Because this attack on women, it doesn't only undermine women's leadership. It's a human rights issue. It's an attack on human rights. It's undermining our political leadership as women. And back to you, Camilla, as a young woman in politics, what advice would you give to a young African woman entering politics in this hostile digital space?
Thank you so much for the question. One thing that I would tell a young African woman entering politics is that I would encourage you to take a stand.
Right.
But don't just take a stand anywhere, because for the sake of taking a stand, I would encourage you to look at the places in this world where things hurt you the most. I don't care if it's orphans, I don't care if it's libraries, I don't care if it's education, I don't care if it's climate. Find something that you are willing to die for. Because in politics, you're entering a space that people are willing to kill for. So find something that you're willing to die for. And when you find that thing that you're willing to die for, commit to it. And commit to the level of health, mentally, emotionally, financially. Commit to the level of health it will take you to achieve that vision. Commit to the work. Commit to the tears you may need to cry. Commit to the heartbreaks you will have to nurse. Commit to your health. I love how I was, checking up on Mary Yvonne to make sure that, she's keeping herself healthy. She needs to be healthy for this journey.
Yeah.
She needs to be healthy. She needs to be healthy enough to not succumb to the pressure. You need to be healthy to come back and say that thing which they said, it is not true. I don't know why they are highlighting my flaws, but they must have really big flaws for them to want you to be swayed away from the work that I'm doing. And you need to be able to commit, highlight the work that you have done. In my work, before I became a politician, I was a human capital development professional. One thing that I have realized is that you will have women doing insane amounts of work, but they struggle to advocate for yourself.
Yeah.
But I am encouraging you to say, tell the truth, even if your voice shakes. If you've done something amazing, make sure they can't ignore you for it. Make sure that you are not so quiet that another person, whether male or female, is going to take the credit for the work that you have done. But I am encouraging you to show up and show up. And I'm encouraging you to say, yes, there is a cost that we have to pay, and there is a pain and a burden that we have to bear for the sake of public service and leadership. But let me remind you that no matter how much comes against you, people are worth it. Human beings are worth it. Yes, they're the ones that are every day going to wake up to fight you. They're the ones that are they're the ones that are going to share the meme and make jokes at your expense. But I want to remind you that human beings are worth it. Africa is worth it. Sierra Leone is worth it.
Yeah. Thank you, Camilla. And I hope we have young women in this room who are ready to run. You are hearing it straight from Camilla, someone who is leading, who is the chairperson of a political party, the youth wing of a political party. She's telling you, no matter the cost, we need to be on the front line. What we just need is the strategy. How do we make sure that we take care of ourselves? How do we prioritize health? How do we prioritize rest? I think that's the message I'm getting from you. But at the end of the day, let's get in there. Let's be on the front line. And coming back to you, Mama Winnie, you have been in parliament for years. And I want to hear from you what reforms are needed within the political parties and or maybe within parliaments to protect and empower women in politics. And maybe you can also share your experience as well. What did you push for when you were a member of parliament? Because I know right now we are taking a back seat, empowering the next generation. But when you were in parliament, what sort of issues or sort of bills, sort of policies did you push that protect our women?
Starting from where I ended,
Yeah.
I came from a background that I mentioned before. A background of resistance, a background of cultural norms that we are disadvantaging society. And so I knew that I was under duty to work with others to ensure that we create an environment that gives women a leadership opportunity. And so together with others, we created an all-party women's caucus in Parliament, a caucus that we used to advocate for gender legislations. And so we passed the National Women's Council Act, one that was supposed to assist women to be mentored, to be empowered, so that we can have better representatives amongst the women. We passed the Prohibition of Genital Mutilation Act, because this was a powerful but harmful cultural practice against women and girls. And we also passed a Domestic Violence Act, an act that was meant to protect women against domestic violence. And I know that many women were not participating in leadership. Even up to now, there are many women who are not participating in leadership, most especially political leadership, because of domestic violence. And so to me, I knew that putting in place legislations that would make life easier for women to run, that would at least enable women to participate in leadership, then many more of them will come up to lead. Right. So these are some of the issues that we kept advocating for as women leaders. And even when we are coming from diverse political parties, we knew that a women's agenda was an agenda for all of us, irrespective of whichever political parties that we belonged to. Our agenda as the Women's Caucus was a woman's agenda. Wow. And because of that, there is now a women's manifesto that is being launched every political season to make politicians commit to supporting the issues that affect women. And so the reforms that we have been advocating for, many of the African nations that have not committed to the international and regional legislations, like the CEDAW, the Maputo Protocol, we would encourage them.
Yeah.
Because it is through these legislations, treaties, and protocols that women can have the affirmative action like we have in Uganda. I would also wish to ask that political parties put in place policies that stop sexual harassment at political party level.
Yeah.
Many women are dying quietly with sexual harassment in their political parties. And then it's used against them to bring them down, to stop them from taking up center stage leadership. So some of those reforms can help women to overcome the fear, to even take up spaces at tables where we are not expected to be. But also, personally, as a secret that I have used in my leadership journey, is to take advantage of those gatekeepers that she talked about and use them. Because I know that some of them enjoy the privilege of adverse obedience. Take an example of those who come from areas where they are cultural leaders. To us who come from communities where they are cultural leaders, for me, the first thing I did when I became member of parliament was to organize a convening like this one of women from different countries and invited the cultural leader to come and be chief guest. And in that convening, we came up with a declaration of ending child marriages. So he had to commit. When he signed the commitment, he was under obligation to go and change the constitution of the cultural institution to now provide for the age of consent. And to me, I knew that that was a plus. And from that time, the queen of my area is now a champion of a no to child marriages.
Wow.
And we also have to take advantage of the presence of those people that are widely accepted now, the champions that we talk about.
Yeah.
Use them in your political parties. But the mentorship trainings for women are equally important. The resources to be put for women in leadership, very important issue. Many times we talk about women empowerment, but we don't take an extra mile to find out some of the challenges that are pushing women off the table. Many of the women are ready to run, but in many of our elections, commercialization of elections is becoming a big issue that chases women from the center stage of participation. Many of us do not have access to resources. Many of us do not have the networks that are desired for women to participate in leadership. What do we have? Ourselves.
Wow.
So the aspect of sisterhood, the aspect of resource mobilization to enable women run is very, very important. Can we go out there and ask our political parties to put a reserved fund to facilitate the activities of women? Can we go out there and ask our parliaments to put some substantial amount of money to political parties specifically to enable women run? But as we are here, we are also talking about standing on the shoulders of those who came before us,
yes.
of giants that came before us.
Let me stop you, Mama
Have
Winnie.
we talked about the intergenerational mentorship that will enable many more women to have exemplary leaders, leaders that they look on to so that they also run?
Wow.
Those are some of the reforms that we can talk about.
Wow. Thank you so much, Mama Winnie, for this insight. I mean, these are the women, and we thank you so much for actually blazing the trail. We are where we are today, some of us young women in politics, because of people who have actually left a mark in political spaces in countries like Uganda, where it can be very difficult to be an opposition member of parliament. So I just want to open for one question. I know I'm pressed for time. Okay, please. One question. I think because people are banning. Can we just open a little bit? Okay, yes. Okay. So, yeah, I've been allowed one question.
Okay. Thank you very much. My name is Brenda Namata, and I am a programs coordinator with Policy, a feminist civic tech organization from Uganda. And to the panelists, wow, Thank you very much. Everything has been taken in. My question is, I think, primarily to Honorable Winnie on the issue of how do we accelerate women into authority beyond power. I know we are having an incremental parity of women in leadership in most of the African countries. But that comes with a question that as we have more number of women in political spaces joining leadership, it comes with a challenge of including these women within decision making. As a former leader of opposition, one of the high offices within politics, how were you able to take decisions, to participate on the table of decisions where patriarchy is still so strong, male dominance is still so strong behind the scenes, to be able to make a decision as a woman leader, but not as a presenter of decisions that have been made by men who are behind most of these scenes? Thank you very much. And maybe that also speaks into the question of including a conversation of equity as we speak about equality in this convening.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That's a very good question, and I think it touches on all the questions that we have, because I had seen several hands, but I'm so sorry, I'm pressed for time. So give Honorable Winnie to respond to this one question. Just 2 minutes, then we go to the pledge.
The issue of how did you handle the office as a woman, I think the mayor spoke so eloquently about that. It's not taking an office as a personal issue. It's taking the office as an office, and you know that you will work with teams. So I created a system where institutions were working. I recruited people who were of class, quality, and possibly one thing that I did tremendously well was gathering all the other opposition actors to make sure that we create a team that was solid in Parliament, where we would meet and first agree on things that we were going to do. We had a checklist of things that we had to do. To the extent that when we even stood to resist the amendment of the Constitution, even those in government, some of them had to concur with us. It is about people. How do you work with people? How do you tap into their different capabilities and making use of them to the extent of getting you to where you want to go? So it was all about people. It was not about me. I was only a team leader. And when you accept that you are a team leader, you are not the alpha and omega, the owner of the knowledge, then you will find that you are working well to the advantage of many, because these offices, we take them specifically to offer service. So you can only serve together with others, but not as an individual. So we had to do a collective. And I think that is how we managed to do the work that we were doing. Work through others. And I enjoyed working with the civil society because that was my source of strength. Most especially the women's movement in Uganda.
Wow.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mama Winnie, for that. And I think we've come to the most important part of this session, which is the pledge. Nobody's leaving the stage without reading out their pledge. So I'll start with you, Camilla. May you kindly read out your pledge. After that, you place it in a big box. Then after you, Marcella, then last Mama Winnie. Then we have a group photo and we close the session. Thank you. Yes. Over to you, Camilla.
All right. I, Camilla Banda, endorse Africa Young Women Beijing Plus 25 Manifesto. I commit to demand number 6 on mental health and well-being. I pledge to launch an app that will provide coaching services to young African professionals with a budget allocation of whatever it takes. In my capacity as a managing consultant of Nkalamu Consultancy.
Wow, a round of applause to Camilla. We will be following you on that pledge, number 6, and I'm very interested in that one. Thank you very much. Over to you, Marcella. Ladies and gentlemen, allow Marcella to give her pledge.
I, Marcella Samba, endorse Africa Young Women's Beijing Plus 25 Manifesto. I commit and demand on number 2 and to promote the safety and security of women as they compete for political spaces and run for office. I pledge to be a support system in my capacity as the Executive Director for Campaign for Good Governance and the Chairperson of National Elections Watch in Sierra Leone.
Wow. Woo. Thank you very much. And finally, Mama Winnie, Honorable, please give us your pledge.
I, Winnie Kiza, I commit to demand an end to gender discrimination. I pledge to work with others to amplify the voices calling for an end to gender discrimination. And I commit with a budget allocation of self. I commit myself in all circumstances, at all times, in all areas, to amplify the voices calling for an end to gender discrimination. And I do this in my capacity as a global advisor to Better Politics. And I will do my best to make sure it is achieved.
Wow.
Thank you.
Woo. Thank you very much, ladies. Before you leave the stage, would want to do a group photo. But thank you so much for this fruitful discussion. And I hope most of us young women in this room have been inspired. If you have been inspired, please, let's give a round of applause to the incredible panelists that I had with me today.